Anzul?
Ma'am, I think morning he joined my previous session. He was there, I guess, ma'am.
Uh,
Because when I joined, I saw his name, ma'am.
yeah, I left the meeting. Okay, okay. Okay. So in the good morning, students and faculty. In the previous class, we saw about the 8087 coprocessor. It is a mathematical processor which is used to perform the floating point operation. In today's class, we are going to see about the 8089 IO processor, which is used to control all the IO devices. Okay. In 87, in the previous class, I have left some instructions. Let me go through that and then we go to the today's topic. So the instruction sets of 8087, we have data transfer instruction, arithmetic instruction, comparison instruction, transcendental. These operations, transcendental operations are not available in 86 processor, okay? And then we have the constant operation and coprocessor control operation. So I'm skipping this. This is the data transfer instruction and arithmetic instructions we have seen earlier. And then the transcendental instruction. And here we have the comparison instruction. I hope you remember that which operation will be performed uh, during comparison. Which operation will be performed during comparison? Yeah, good. The subtraction operation, right? So the subtraction operation will be performed according to this. The condition flag C3 and C0 will be set. Okay. And here, constant returning instructions, the FLDZ is to used to load the value 0 to top of the stack. And we have a register stack of 8 registers, each registers of 80 bit. Okay. So in this 80 bit, we have the mantissa part and the exponent part. Okay. So mantissa is 64 and exponent is 16 bits. So totally we have 80 bits. So FLDI is to load value 1 to the top of the stack. And to load the pipe value, we have FLDPI. Then to load the logarithmic value of 10 to the base 2, we have the instruction FLD2T. Then FLDL2E is used to load the constant value logarithmic e to the base 2. And log 2 to the base 10 is loaded by using the instruction FLDLG2 and log 2 to the base e by using this instruction FLDLN2. Okay. So these instructions are not available in 86 processor. Okay. And here the coprocessor control instructions are Finit, that is to initiate the program. So in every 87 program, first line will be this Finit. Like C program, we have hash include, no? Like this in 87, the first line of all the assembly language program will be Finit. Next one is to enable the interrupts, we are having FENI. And to disable the interrupts, we have FDIS. And we have the control register and the status register. Control register is a 16-bit register which is used to control the 87 processor. And status register is used to read the status. If there is any failures, we can find out the failures by reading the status register. Okay. To load the control word, that is to load the values in the control word register, we have the instruction FLDCW. And to store the control word, FSTCW. And to store the status word, we have FSTSW. So in all the instructions, we have a letter F as a prefix. What it refers? You can unmute and answer or put in the chat box. In every instruction, we have a letter F. What it refers?
It refers to float now.
Yeah, floating point. Yeah, good. Okay. So next one again, the coprocessor control instructions we have. To clear all the flags in the status register, we have the instruction FCLEX. And to increment the stack pointer, we have F increment INC STP. And to decrement the stack pointer, we have FDEC STP. Okay. Then, as I said, every stack register will having a tag field. It will be represented by 2 bits for every register. It represents whether the data available in the register or a valid data or a non-valid data, or it is empty or zero. In order to free all the tag bits in the tag register, we are using this instruction free. And as you know, no operation, we have FNOP, and wait instruction is FWAIT, wait. Okay. So these are the co-processor control instructions. And we have, this is very important, to store the environment means all the registers and also the control register, status registers. Okay, all the register values that is available in the register tag, and the control register and the status register together called as environment. So to store the environment of the processor, we are using this instruction. Suppose if you want to store all the content into the memory location, means just a single instruction will do it instead of transferring every data to the memory. Okay. So like this, if we want to load, suppose if you store the data into the memory location and we want to again the data for some other process, means we can load that into this environment. Okay. So the data will be loaded into the control register, status registers, and also all the registers in the register stack. And next one is fsave, saves the complete processor. That is the status of all the signals also will be stored in the memory. Okay, fsave to store all the register content, and also the signal status will be stored into the processor. That is memory. Next store is restore the previous status of the coprocessor. Suppose, for example, here we are having in resume, resume windows like that. So at this is an example for this. FR store means we are storing from the previous status of the coprocessor. For this, we are using this instruction. Okay. FSTENV is to store the environment. That is the content of all the control register, status register, and all the registers available in the stack will be stored in the memory, and load the environment. And third one is to save the complete processor. The status of all the signals and all the registers will be stored in the memory. And FR store is to restore the previous status. Okay. And let's go about this, see about this. I hope you understood 87 coprocessor. It is floating, it is used to perform all the numeric operations. Okay. So now let's see about 8089. It is an IO processor which is used to control all the devices. Okay. So IO processor handles all the interaction between this IO devices. See the diagram here. Here we have this IO processor on all the devices are connected to this IO processor. So this IO processor will be having its own system bus. It will be having its own address bus, data bus, and control bus. Okay. It will be IO processor having its own this, and this IO processor can communicate with this CPU and also the memory. This then it can do the data transfer between memory to memory, then memory to these devices, devices to memory. So all the data transfer can be performed by this IO processor. It is nothing but same as DMA data transfer. Okay. Without disturbing the CPU, the data transfer will take place between this memory and the IO devices and also to the CPU. Right. So here, how it performs means, actually, suppose the CPU is executing a program. Okay. We have the scanf and printf statement. Every time while you are executing the program, it cannot interrupt this IO processor. Suppose if you are executing a scanf statement, at the time it want to interrupt this IO processor. Okay. Suppose if the next statement is printf, so you'll be giving no printf within double quote something. At the time also it has to interrupt the IO processor. Okay. So every time while executing the instruction, it has to interrupt the IO processor. Actually, that is not possible. That is sort of feasible also. So what it is, in the CPU, we have a memory table, right? A memory table. So here this contains the task to be performed by the IO processor will be loaded in the memory table. Okay. So in this CPU, we'll be having a memory table. So the task that is to be performed by the IO processor will be stored in the memory table. The IO processor will see the memory table and it will execute the task. Okay. I hope you got it. Okay. So in this CPU, you'll be having a memory table. So in this memory table only, all the tasks that is to be performed by the IO processor will be loaded. The IO processor will see that memory table and will get the task and it will complete the task. Suppose if it is scanf statement means it will get the input from the keyboard or mouse or whatever it is. So suppose if it is a printf statement means it will get the, that is it will display the output in the monitor. Okay. I hope you understood what is IO processor. So now let's see this here, the diagram. Okay. So here is, this is a, initially we have this diagram. So here we have the CPU here. CPU is controlling all the devices connected to this. Okay. So here we have the DMA controller, which is used to perform the DMA data transfer. And we have this 8272 is a keyboard and display controller. Okay. So this chip will control all the keyboard and there is the input devices, keyboard and display controller 8272. And here we have 8255. It is used for parallel data transfer. Suppose from the CPU, if you are transferring the data parallel means all the 16 bits can be sent out. Okay. Sent in, I can read or we can send out all the 16-bit data at the time. So for this, we are using this 8255. It is a programmable parallel interface. Okay. And here this 8251 is a USA, a serial communication interface, which is used to transmit the data in serial. So all the devices, and we have memory, so all the devices are controlled by the CPU. Okay. So we have the DMA controller, and this 8272 is a keyboard and display controller, and 8255 is used for parallel transmission, and 8251 is used for serial transmission. Okay. So all these chips numbers we have now, this will be studying in the third unit, the architecture and the function of all this DMA controller, keyboard and display controller, parallel interface and serial interface. We'll be studying the third unit, and we have this memory. Okay. So in order to, here we have introduced in the next diagram, see here we have introduced the IO processor. So all the devices here connected to this will be controlled by the IO processor. Okay. And here we have this 86. It is separated. So here IO processor will control all the devices connected to it. Okay. So IO processor will be having its own system bus. Okay. Address bus, data bus, and control bus. Okay. I hope you understood. So here in this 86, we have the memory table. Okay, we have the memory table. So IO processor will fetch the task from the memory table and it completes the task. Okay. So this, you remember this flow diagram. So this is the 86 processor here. So whenever we see an out instruction, there is a printf statement in the high level language. So it will give the task to the 89 processor. So here it will fetch the message from the memory table and it will perform the task. And after completion of task, it will indicate this CPU. Okay. While 89 is performing its task, 86 will performing its own instruction. It will be executing its own instructions. Okay. Then it will get the data from that and you can continue the normal process. This is the flow diagram of 8089 processor. And it is closely coupled or loosely coupled. In multiprocessor concepts, we have studied three concepts now. One is coprocessor, next one is closely coupled, and next third one is loosely coupled. So this comes under loosely coupled or closely coupled.
Loosely coupled.
Loosely, is this the second one? Huh? No, loosely coupled is we have different modules now, more number of modules. So this is closely coupled, okay?
Okay. Yes.
So, oh yeah. Okay, closely coupled. So this is the pin diagram of 8089 IO processor. Almost in 86, 87, and 89, almost the pins are same. So if you study thoroughly of the pin, there is this functions of all the signals of 86, we will find it easy to write it in the 87 and 89 IO processor. Okay. So here we have all the signals like that. Here A02, A14, and we have A15 here. A16 combined with the status signal S3 and S4, and we have this S5 signal and S6 signal. Okay, so let's come to this here. SC interrupt. This is the two new signals introduced in this 8089 processor. This signal interrupt, SINTRS, signal interrupt. It is an out signal. So that is after completing a task, this will be activated. Okay. So after performing a scanf or printf, after performing a task, it will be activated. This is signal interrupt signal. Okay. So next we have the clock signal, and 21st pin is reset signal. It is used to reset, reinitialize all the registers, and ready signal. And this is also next to two signals or two new signals. SEL is select, and CA is channel attention signal. Okay, SEL is select signal, CA is channel attention. Actually, in 8089 architecture, we have two channels, channel 1 and channel 2. Suppose if one device is using channel 1 and data transfer, the other channel 2 can be used by other devices. Okay. So we are having two channels in 89 coprocessor, that is IO processor. And here this channel, that is to select the channels, we are using this select signal. Okay. So if the select signal equal to 0 means channel 1 will be selected, and if it is 1 means channel 2 will be selected. Okay, select if 0, channel 1 will be selected, and if it is 1, it is channel 2 will be selected. Channel attention signal is used along with this, both combined together. It must be equal to 0. If channel attention is equal to 0 only, so we can go for the select signal. Okay, this both are combined together and is used to select the channels that are available in 8089 IO processor. And here we have this request and grant signal, and we have the status signals which is used to deliver the cycles. Okay, there is whether it is memory read cycle, memory write, then IO read or IO write. Then log signal is used to log the peripherals. Okay, it is used to log the, suppose some peripherals will be disturbing a lot, so we can log that peripheral. For that we are using this log signal. And this is DRQ1 and DRQ2 is DMA request signals. Okay, as I said earlier, it is same as DMA data transfer. So DMA request and DMA request 2, we have two signals. And here this EXT1 and EXT2 represents the termination of the data transfer. After transferring the data, after the task has been completed, that will be indicated by this EXT1 and the EXT2 signal. Okay. So next is we have this BHE signal, bus high enable signal, which is used to select the data from odd bank or even bank. Okay. So I repeat this. We have 40 pins here. So we have AD0 to AD16 and 15 and A16 to A19. So we have the new signals is SINTR1 and INTR2. That is signal interrupt. It represents the completion of task. So here we have reset signal, which is used to reset the IO processor. Ready signal, and the selecting the channel and the channel attention signal combined together to select the channels. We have two channels, channel 1 and channel 2. Then we have the request grant signal, and S2, S1 and S0 are used for generating the machine cycles. Okay, IO read, IO write, memory write. And log signal is used to log the peripherals, and we have DMA request 1 and DMA request 2. And EXT1 and EXT2 is after the data transfer, that is after the operation is over, that will be indicated by EXT1 and EXT2. And here we have this BHE signal, bus high enable signal, which is used to fetch the data that is from even bank or odd bank. And here A6 and A17 is combined with the status signal S3 and S4, which refers the segment we are referring, whether it is code segment, stack segment, extra segment or data segment. Okay, S5, this is represents the interrupt flag, and 6 must be 0. And hope you understood all this pin diagram. Let me do the next one. Do you want me to repeat? Okay. So So next one, this is a block diagram of 8089. See here, the arrow marks I have drawn. There are two channels. Here we have channel 1 and here channel 2. The two channels are there. So here each channels will be having its own signal. In the top you're having the signals, no? DMA request, EXT2, SINTR2. Okay, so this is for channel 2, and for channel 1 we are having this SINTR1, that is signal enter, and EXT1 and DMA request 1. Okay, separate signals for channel 1, and we have the reset, and the select and CA combined together is used to select the channels. Okay, so CA must be channel attention signal must be 0. So that if it is 0 only, this we can select the channels. Select signal is if it is 0, channel 1 will be selected, and if it is 1 means channel 2 will be selected, right? See at the bottom we are having the signals here, clock, ready signal, BHE, and here the address and data bus, and we have the status signal and the request and grant signal, and here the log signal. Okay, log signal is used to log the peripherals, right? So let's see about the channels here. Every channel will be having the set of registers. Okay, here we have a set of register. The same registers are available in channel 1 also. Okay. So here the registers are divided into two groups. So the first one is 20-bit register, and the second group is 16-bit register. Okay, the top one is 20-bit register, and the bottom one it is 16-bit register. And here PSW is program status word. It is nothing but the status register. Okay, program status word. So let's see here about this 20-bit register. So as I told here, we are going for DMA data transfer. We have the source address and also the destination. We must know the source address and also the destination address for data transfer. Okay. So GA will contain the source address. Okay, it is a 20-bit register, and GB contains the destination address, and GC contains the base address. Okay, GA contains the source address, GB contains the destination address, and GC contains the base address. And next one is the TP is a task pointer. So task pointer is nothing but the same as program counter register. What is program counter register? What is the use of program counter register? So program counter instruction will contain the address of the instruction to be executed next. Okay, it contains the address of the instruction to be executed next. By using this only, we'll be executing the instructions one by one. Okay, program counter. So here the task pointer will perform the function of the program counter as 8086. And here another register is parameter pointer, which is not accessible by the programmer. Okay, we cannot use this PP parameter block. So it is for internal part is parameter pointer register is used. Okay, so GA register will contain the source address, and GB is used to store the destination address, and GC is the base address, and task pointer is nothing but the program counter, and PP is the parameter pointer. Okay, it cannot be used by us, by the programmers. This parameter pointer cannot be used. Along with this GA, GB, GC, and TB, we are having a tag bit. Okay, tag bit is represented by 1 bit only. It can be either 1 or 0. Okay, 0 to 19 is used by these registers, and a tag bit, the leftmost bit represents the tag value. It can be either 0 or 1. If it is a 0 means we are accessing a 20-bit system space. Okay, if it is 0 means we are accessing a 20-bit system base. That is the shared memory. We are accessing a shared memory. Okay, and if it is 1 means we are accessing a local bus. That is the IO address. 16-bit IO address we are accessing. Okay, if this tag bit is 0 means we are accessing 20-bit system bus. And if it is 1 means we are accessing a 16-bit local bus. That is the IO device address. Okay. And let's see, I hope you understood all the 20-bit registers. And here coming to the 16-bit register, IX refers the index register, which is used to store the index values, okay? And BC is byte count register. Byte count stores the number of bytes you are going to transfer. Suppose if you are going to transfer 100 data, means the 100 must be loaded into the BC register, that is byte count register. So for every data transfer, this byte count register value will change. Suppose if you are transferring 1 byte means, so the byte count register will increment by 1. And if you are transferring word means that is 16-bit you are transferring, so this byte count register will increment by 2. Okay. So byte count register is used to store the byte count values, the number of times you are going to perform the data transfer. And suppose if it is 10 means you have to load the value 10 into this register. And for every data transfer, it will increment. Okay. So if it is a byte transfer, it will be incremented by 1. And if it is a word transfer, it will increment by 2. And here next one is the mass compare instruction, that is register. So this mass compare register is used to terminate the DMA operation. Okay, used to terminate the DMA operation. Next one is the channel control register. As I said earlier, every device will be having a control register and a status register. CC is the channel control register, which is used to control this IO processor. It is a 16-bit register. And here PSW is the program status word. Program status word. It is an 8-bit register which is used to read the status if there is any failure. Okay. I hope you would have studied in computer architecture, 8089 IO processor. Am I right? Communication between IO device, IO processor. You have studied, you would have studied that. Okay. Hope you understood this. Okay. So each channels we have 2 sets of registers, 20-bit and 16-bit. Okay. So these are the 16-bit registers and 20-bit registers, and these are the 16-bit registers. And PSW, program status word, is an 8-bit register which is used to read the status. Okay. And here, common to the 2 channels 1 and 2, we are having a channel control pointer. CCP is channel control pointer. As I said earlier, common to this 86 and 87, we will be having a memory table. Okay. So in this memory table only, all the tasks will be stored there. Okay. So here the CCP will contain the address of the memory table. Address is 20-bit, no? So this is also a 20-bit register. The address of the memory table will be available in the CCP. Okay, hope you got it. CCP contains the address of the memory table, and the ALU is used to perform the arithmetic and the logical operation. And we have the bus control and the interface unit. Okay. Hope you understood this. Do you want me to repeat this block diagram? Okay. So all these programs in this 8089 is called as channel programs. Okay. So normally we have this assembly language program like that, no? But here in the 89, we'll be calling the programs as channel program. So this is again the registers here, okay? 20 bits GA, points to the source, point base address, stack pointer, index register, byte count, it's all the registers. And during the data transfer, this GA will contain the source address, and GB will contain the destination address, and GC will contain the base address, and BC will contain the byte count register. So this is the communication between 8086 and 8089. We have 3 blocks, okay, control block, parameter block, and task block. Okay. So in this control block, we have, it is a 16-bit register, okay. It's a 16-bit register here. This is busy, so it indicates whether it is busy or not. And here this is the channel control word. This only issues the command to the IO channel. So the CCW only, channel control word, issues the command to the IO channel whether you have to start the data transfer or suspend the data transfer or resume or halt. Whatever commands, that is, we have start the data transfer, or we can suspend it, or you can resume it, or you can halt it. So all the commands will be issued by the CCW. Okay, CCW is channel control word. Okay. And also it contains the address of the parameter block. So this will be somewhere. So the address of the parameter block will be available in this control block. Okay. This control block will communicate this parameter block through this address only, PB address. So here in this parameter block, the top of this will have the task block address here, the address at which the task is stored. Okay, so that will be available here, task block address. And here next one is the memory address from where you are going to transfer the data. That is the source address and destination address. And then the byte count is number of bytes you are going to transfer. Device address, as I said, every device will be having an address. So that address will be available. And the track and the sector to which we are going to transfer. Okay. So suppose you know that now. Suppose if we have a floppy disk, means we have the track and sector everywhere. And here this gives the status of the IO devices. Okay. So if then the IO devices are available, means for data, it will execute this task. So this task can be a printf statement or scanf statement, or a copy between the two drives, or from the IO device to the memory. So the task will be there. Okay. So the communication between this 86 and 89 is performed by these three blocks: control block, parameter block, and task block. Okay. So all the programs in 89 is called as channel programs. Don't forget that. All the programs in 89 is called as channel programs. And control block consists of BC and CCW. CCW is channel control word. So channel control word only issues the commands to the IO channel. Whether you have to suspend the operation, data transfer, or you are going to resume or halt or start the data transfer. So all these commands will be issued by channel control word, that is CCW. Then parameter block, that is the address, as I said earlier in the instruction, in the register we have the parameter pointer register, PP, so that is here, parameter block. This address will be available in this parameter block. So this is not accessible by us. Okay, it is internally, all the manufacturer will be putting this value. So memory address, byte count, device address, track and sector address, and then we have the stack status. And the last one is the task. What are the tasks we are going to perform? Hope you understood this. And next one, this is the, who is that? I can hear someone is unmuted. See here, the middle here we have 86. Okay, 86, and the top we have 8089, and at the bottom we have 8087. Okay. Then we have this, this you know this, no? Here we have this 8288 is a bus controller, and we have this latches. So how many address latch will be there in, how many address latch? 8282 is the address latch. How many address latches will be there? Do you remember the diagram? The boxes, actually 3 address latches will be there, because every latch can hold 8 bit. So address buses 20 bit. So there will be 3 latches. Okay. So like this, the bottom of this we have a transceiver. No, transceiver is used to transmit and receive the data. So the output of this is data bus. So here the data bus is 16 bit. So we have 2 transceivers here. Okay. Someone have unmuted yourself. I'm disturbed by some voice. Okay. So hope you understood this, no? So that's all about this 89 IO processor. Okay. So in this unit, the first one we studied about the pin diagram of 8086 and 2 block diagrams for maximum mode and minimum mode. And then we studied about the IO programming Okay, IO programming. And the fourth part is we studied about this multiprocessor concepts. Okay, 808 coprocessor, closely coupled and loosely coupled. And we studied the architecture of 87 coprocessor and 8089 IO processor is over. Almost this unit is over. Only one topic is left over. It is introduction to advanced processors. That is latest processor. That is, we have 80286, 386, 486. Okay. I think with this we can stop this. Students, are you preparing for the quiz? So hope you know that, no? From Kalyan Kumar, you can stop recording. Okay. Okay. So just dear students, I'm going to call your name so that you can put your numbers in the chat box, right?